Here we have our review of Gigabyte GeForce GTX 1060 G1 Gaming. It's a fairly new card on the market, and it really is incredible value for money if you're really looking for some bang for your buck. The 60 series typically represents your upper mid-range cards, but in this case, if you compare it to the 9 series cards, it basically falls in between the 970 and the 980. So in terms of performance, it falls smack in the middle between the previous generation's high-end cards, which is an excellent deal if you're looking for a performance bargain. Basically, what you get with the G1 Gaming is the base clock of the standard card is 1.5 gigahertz, and the G1 Gaming, that is up to 1620 megahertz, and the boost clock goes from 1708 all the way up to 1847. So it's quite a nice overclock that's included on this card. It's still only a 120 watt card, so you're fine with anything like a 400 watt power supply for this card. If we look at the physical card itself, at the front you can see it's got two of Gigabyte's wind force fans. It has really got a very big radiator for the power level card, and you can really see they designed the thing to overclock. If we have a look at the top, we've got RGB Gigabyte and fan stop logos. The fan stop is basically just if it can cool it passively, it turns off the fans and turns on the fan stop light. And over here we've got a 8-pin power connector instead of the normal 1060 6-pin power connector. So we've got a bit of extra power to play around with for overclocking. At the back, and this really like, they've gone for a very nice, high quality and very nicely finished backplate on here, which for mid-range cards you don't always get. And flip it around again, we just see the Shroud. Now, this Shroud has been one of the points of controversy in a lot of reviews. A lot of people say, oh no, but why have Gigabyte moved away from their very nice aluminium ones? And we did quite a bit of testing and investigation in this, and if you compare it to one of the cards in question, here we have 980 Ti, which has the aluminium shroud. It feels like almost 3 times the weight, but at least double. And the big problem with that is, we saw in our test systems where we're changing the cards quite often, you actually end up damaging the motherboard's PCI Express port with the heavy cards like this over time. If it's in there and it's fastened properly and it stays there, it's probably alright. But if you're going to be switching cards quite often, you actually do end up damaging it a little bit. So I think that's why they moved to the plastic one, and honestly, we've seen it here with our own setups, it's probably a good idea. If you have a look in the back of the card here, you can see there's actually only 2 heat pipes running through the whole cooling system here. It's a little lower than we're used to, but we've seen that on all of the 10 series cards. The Pascal architecture simply uses less power, and therefore you need less cooling. Overall, in terms of the plastic shroud, it still feels very solid. And if you think about what you see in your case, you see the top of the card and you see the back of the card, and that's where they really focus their efforts. The back is excellent, top notch. If you compare it to something like the 980 Ti, very similar. The top, we've got Rgb lighting for everything. You can see quite a bit of the actual heat sinks here. It looks nice, it looks like a high-end card, and that's what we've come to expect from the G1 series. This orange here, which we're personally not a fan of, as soon as you put the card in the case, you don't actually see it, because that is the side that's face down to the ground. If you look at your connections on the back here, you have a display port, a 3 display ports, a dual-link DVI, and a HDMI port, and then a little bit of an exhaust to get some of the heat exhausted out of the back instead of just back into the case. And that is the G1 Gaming 1060.